Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be dissertating and talking about the North Node transiting the third house in a natal chart. Now, on average, the North Node will traverse a house for approximately a year and a half. However, if your house size is a little bit larger than average, then the North Node will be in there for a little bit of a longer duration. If your house size is a little bit smaller than average, then the North Node will be in there for a little bit of a shorter period. Well, anyway, people, first thing I'll look at when the North Node is transiting one's natal third house, this is a time where during this period, for about a year and a half, you may feel more of a need to do things that are associated with the third house. It could be a time where it's about development in third house areas such as communication. Keep in mind that when you have the North Node transiting the third, the South Node is transiting the ninth. It could have been a time with the South Node transiting the ninth that you may have been dominated, maybe perhaps by grandchildren and in-laws. And maybe it's time where you need to focus that attention with siblings during this time in your general communications and in people in your own neighborhood, your neighbors. And it could be too that it could also be a time getting back perhaps to things, to matters connected, people that may have been connected with your early education and things you learned from them. You may have been really strongly emphasizing higher education with the South Node transiting the ninth house in this, as of course when the North Node is transiting the third, the South Node is transiting the ninth, as I stated before. Now, this could also be a time where when you have this transit, this is about that karmic mission and purpose, and this is the area you're drawn toward as far as the karmic mission and purpose at this time. With the North Node transiting the third, it could be that karmic mission purpose could be connected with communications, your siblings, neighbors. It could be about assimilating information. It could be, it could also be about matters perhaps even pertaining to transportation, which could be like your car, your van, or whatever vehicle you may have. And maybe like in this particular transit that we're having now at the time that I'm making this video, the North Node is currently in Virgo, and the South Node, of course, is in Pisces. Well, if someone's having this transit right now at this point in time, this could be a time where perhaps there needs to maybe be communication connected, perhaps with Virgo health matters. It could be maybe even the car might be unhealthy, figuratively speaking, and might need some repair work and looked at and some diagnosis. And maybe even if it's just a tune-up, it could just be maybe because the ninth house with the South Node transiting it, that's really about long journeys and traveling abroad. Perhaps your attention at some point was more emphasized on taking long distance journeys traveling abroad with this transit Pisces. Now that could have been maybe on sea voyages, traveling by water perhaps, and maybe going to places that were somewhat mystical, and maybe traveling long and far, maybe to learn about the metaphysical. Now, this is a time now with the North Node in the third house. This could be more about this, really focusing more on mundane like communication. This is also the North Node in transit could represent that area that needs to be confronted and addressed, and this could be matters connected with your siblings if you do have them. Maybe there's some dilemma that's happened with them. Maybe you had an argument with one or more of them, and maybe this is the time to reconcile, for example, or get things back in order and resolve a situation with them. Maybe one of them is in trouble and you need to help one of your siblings out. For example, it could be a neighbor that might be experiencing some problems. Now, and you need to, then maybe this person might need your attention. Now, this is also, at this point in time, this is about, the North Node is about development as well. And this could be about perhaps some development in communications during this time. And it could be too, keep in mind that when you have the North Node in transit, of course, you have the South Node in transit. And really, you may not necessarily be eradicating everything that's connected with the South Node in transit, but merely emphasizing the North Node energy a little bit more, and perhaps incorporating, in this example, the Ninth Node energy a little bit with the South Node, such as like philosophy is the ninth house. Maybe this is a time where you might incorporate your philosophy into your communications, into talking perhaps with your siblings if you have any. It could be the ninth house is associated with abstract thought, and maybe this is something that you inject into your conversations at this time. So this could also be the North Node in Virgo right now at the time of this video. Virgo is about health, so maybe there's something imperative that needs to be communicated regarding a health matter you have as well during this time. So anyway, it's also important to look at the aspects, if any, that are made by this transit to your natal planets and points, as this could impact the transit. Now, let's say, for example, that the transiting North Node is making a sextile or trine to your natal Mars. Well, this could be auspicious for taking action and initiating development, perhaps, of your current karmic purpose and mission. And being in the third house, this could be connected with communications in this example. Now, let's take another example. Let's say that transiting North Node is making a square in conjunct or opposition to your natal Jupiter. Well, this could indicate you might vacillate between overemphasizing and perhaps underemphasizing an area that needs to be confronted and addressed. And being in the third house, this could have something to do perhaps with neighbors, siblings, or maybe even something connected with some kind of thing, something with communication. Well, anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for the North Node transiting the third house in a natal chart. And stay tuned next time, where I'll be dissertating and talking about the North Node transiting the fourth house in a natal chart. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone, because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.